now. This meeting is being recorded, so anything that comes across your microphones or cameras is a matter of public record and will go viral on our YouTube channel. So those of you joining us remotely, just keep that in mind as you want to join into the conversation. Simply unmute yourself. I will try to keep an eye on the chat, but I get distracted easily, so I encourage you to unmute or start your video and grab my attention or whatnot. And with that, as soon as our Vice Chair, Kayla Lambert, is ready, we can call the meeting to order.
All right. 1 minute here. All right, I will call the meeting to order on June 17th at 3:01 p.m. And I will start with roll call. Do you want me to just go ahead and read out the names?
Debbie can go ahead and take care of that.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, Elaine Newton for County Dixon. Ted Walsh.
Here.
Carolyn Jorgensen. Carolyn is online. Okay, Kimber Coleman.
I'm here.
Courtney Conlon. Warren Foreman. Chris Stroll. Here. Madison LeMay for Cheryl Myers. Here. Kayla Lambert.
Here.
And Lisa Blora. You have a forum.
Thank you for that. Next, we'll go into the review and the approval of the March 18th, 2024 minutes that those were sent out previously. Were there any questions or corrections needed on the minutes? Hearing none, I will accept a motion to approve the minutes. Anyone? Okay. And do you have a second?
This is Carolyn Jorgensen. Yes, please, the second.
Excellent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now I'd like to introduce the speaker for today, Dr. Justin Arnold, who is the director of LWIA 17. Take it away, Justin.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I was invited here to talk to you all today about some of the things that we've done with our youth activities, and it's really just an opportunity to share some information with you all, and maybe I can answer some questions afterwards. Long story short, we had a transformation locally where historically we had been working with about 9 youth providers, and now we're working with 4 youth providers, and we do an in-house program. So I'm just going to tell you about what that process looked like. And then, like I said, maybe there'll be some time for questions. Let's see. Is there an easy way to do slides, or could I just keep saying slide?
Go ahead and say slide because I don't have enough USB ports.
We can do slide. That's me. My organization just paid for a new headshot, so I figured I'd use it. I'm with East Central Illinois WorkNet. It's LWIA 17. We have 5 counties: Iroquois, Ford, Piatt, Douglas, and Champaign. Champaign is kind of like our, what we call a metro county. As the University of Illinois, a manufacturing hub, and some larger hospitals. And then Iroquois, Ford, Piatt, and Douglas, we consider those more rural counties. And those have smaller population cities, usually under about 10,000. And then smaller kind of supply chain manufacturers, smaller hospitals, and then some service businesses. And so I'm just north of you. So that's where I'm from and where I came down from today. As a director, I oversee a lot of activities, and I'm just sharing these because for some context, that there's a lot of things going on in the local workforce area And you can't always tackle them all at the same time or easily or quickly. Because you're trying to juggle everything and make sure everything works. So similar to you all, we have state engagement where we're looking at what is the Illinois Workforce Board doing, their committees and the policy that they're making. We're looking at DCO and seeing what new programs they're working on and working with them on monitoring. We work with the Illinois Workforce Partnership, which is the state agency or state association of the Title I staff, board directors and program administrators. And then you also have to, for us, we have to look at our host organization. For you all, I believe that's a college. For us, it's a county government. So we're with Champaign County Regional Planning Commission, which is an intergovernmental agency. We oversee most all of these things, the one-stop operation for the American Job Centers, adult and dislocated worker training, youth activities, business services. We have done apprenticeship expansion, kind of looking at Jamie's lead in the area. She's kind of the gold star for the state. So it's been exciting to try and follow some of that over the past 2 years. We have special projects like everyone else, and then we do have a priority of service for those low income and skill deficient folks, and we're using an equity lens. So probably pretty much what you all are doing here, and we look at each of those and try and continuously improve, specifically for youth activities. We've had, like I said, a lot of transformation over the past couple of years. Slide. For specifically youth activities, the first thing we looked at was alignment. And we wanted to know if we were aligning with a lot of different things, the state, the youth committee, local needs, LWIA specifically. And so when we were thinking about change, we needed to make sure that our change aligned with best practices of law and regulation, which I'm sure is some of the same things you all think about. Because before we got into trying to transform something, there was a lot of questions around the table and in the community about, well, what should we align with? So we just come up with a good idea and do that. And as a director, I had to say, no, let's not do that. Let's figure out what the rules are, the best practices are, and kind of take it from there. So we started with WIA. And our first we started with classification in school versus out of school. And we looked in the community to see what we should be focused on. Every community is different, every LWIA is different. So you all will look at this differently, I'm sure, than we did. But for us, for in-school youth, we have a pretty strong education for employment program and a pretty strong early college program in Parkland. So we really didn't need to look at in-school youth that hard. And that was a discussion that needed to be had, because when we thought about youth and having a youth committee, the first thing people wanted us to think about was, let's help the kids, and that was the framework, looking at a middle school or looking at a high school. But when we looked at WIA and there was a classification of in school versus out of school, in our local area, we started wondering, is anyone really focused on out of school youth? And what we found in our area was, no, people weren't really focused on the out of school youth. The folks who had dropped out or who had graduated and weren't connected to education or employment anymore. So we looked at barriers, low income, skill deficient, English language learner, not attending school, justice involved, pregnant or parenting, has a disability, or is homeless. When we started looking at those WIA identified barriers, the picture for what our opportunity was became more clear. Because instead of the middle class at the high school with no barriers, we started looking more at folks with barriers and how that looks different for a youth program. And I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, but I'm just giving you an outline of what we're looking at. And we looked at program design. And like I said, we were working with about 9 different youth providers. And when I would talk to most of them about program design, I didn't get a sense that really people knew what a program was or how to design one. We are always pretty clear about what a program is. If there's assessment, there's a service strategy, you're providing services, you exit those folks to an outcome, and that within the program, there's the 14 elements. Do we all know what the 14 elements are? We're kind of familiar with those. Okay, so I won't get into those too much. But that was kind of our starting point. What does WIA give us an opportunity to focus on and what should our programs look like. And so that was helpful in helping us get some focus. Slide. We then looked at our local plan, and diving into the local plan was for us helpful because for some folks that local plan had been a document that just kind of sat on the shelf. But when we really looked at it to see how we could use it to align workforce development activities, we found a couple things. One was, what are our target sectors? And we looked and we saw manufacturing and healthcare and ag tech and business services. That was different from what a lot of our youth providers were focused on, which was basically at the time nonprofit work. So we had a lot of folks focusing on working at a nonprofit, sweeping the floor, because those kind of volunteer experiences were readily available for a work experience. But in our local plan, where we saw manufacturing, healthcare, ag tech, business services, were really where we should be focusing. And that idea was bolstered by the idea of career pathways, but there was linkages between career exploration, work experience, and job training. So it wasn't enough that we just put somebody somewhere and checked off a box, but it was really a thoughtful way of thinking about how does this WEX opportunity lead to someone exploring a career in healthcare and manufacturing so that they can make it more informed about job training. And getting our youth committee and different stakeholders to use that logic was helpful, because instead of just doing a quote unquote good thing, we were really thinking about the logic of how we were transforming somebody's life. And then we, for us, redefined success, that we didn't want youth programs to be just an opportunity for mentoring and an experience with a social organization, but we really wanted success for us to be helping young people make career choices that would lead to a good job. And as we aligned our youth programs with that local plan, you can see how even more it began to take shape, the direction that we could go in and the opportunity that we had. Slide. So we got together with our youth committee, the committee just like this. And it was a lot of different folks who had a lot of different ideas. They came from different backgrounds. So some was construction, some business servant organizations like the chamber, and you could see some from the nonprofit sector, some from education, a really niche place in education, maybe special education. And so you had all these different people who were looking at youth programs through their lens. And so we did need to spend some time, okay, let's just get it all out on the table. What's really important to you? And we spent some time brainstorming where there was no bad idea. And everyone from their point of view could throw out, this is the type of youth program I want to have, or this is the impact I think we should make. And as we got all those ideas out on the table, then we could start talking about alignment, right? What's in LWIA and what are other people doing? So in our area, what are the nonprofits that are serving youth doing? What are the alternative education programs doing? What's early college doing? What's education for employment doing? What's not being done? Where could we fill the gap? So it was kind of a SWOT analysis, more or less, where you were trying to see what was in the environment and where we could fit. And we talked a little bit about greatness. What is the thing that only we can do? And I know by now it's cliche, especially if you work at a car dealership, that you talk about. You read Good to Great by Jim Collins. But Good to Great is this idea where you don't try and be everything to everybody, but you really find that thing that only you can do well and you focus on it. And that's what we were trying to do in our youth committee, is what can we focus on that's not being done in our community? And that was a good work, because again, it helped us kind of see where we wanted to go. Slide. Check the time. Doing okay on time. Trying to go a little quicker. We didn't have those non-youth providers, and we didn't want to just cut them off. So what we did was we provided a lot of technical assistance. We ended up hiring a coordinator who was going to work directly with those non-youth providers. And we talked to them about managing a federal grant, about program design and the 14 elements, and about what we were doing in our youth committee and what was going on in our regional plan. After about a year, again, you folks might not have to do this, we did because we had a history with non-providers. But after about a year, it became clear that at least half of those providers had really no interest in managing a federal grant. They wanted us to do it for them. or they didn't want to design a program, they wanted to remain kind of a drop-in center where people could receive mentoring, or they didn't really want to align with the regional plan in our target sectors. And so some of those, through this process, we found that some youth providers didn't align with the direction of our youth committee or with WIA, which was fine. Slide. And so, as different people had different ideas, and WIA said going this way, and youth providers, some want to go this way and some want to go that way, we started building consensus. Again, we were reviewing WIA and with DCO and other directors, talking about what we were seeing on the ground and the direction we wanted to go in. And we were getting feedback from DCO about what would be allowable and what was happening in other LWIAs that was having success. What were other directors doing? Where had other folks that found some opportunities? We discussed the local plan with stakeholders, because if we were going to make a change, we wanted to make sure that stakeholders didn't think we're making a unilateral change, that us as the planning commission just decided one day that we wanted to go in a different direction. But we discussed WIA and our regional plan with stakeholders and got people we built consensus around the idea that it wasn't a unilateral decision, but we were making a decision together. And as we did that, again, we were engaging our elected officials, our youth committee members, and we were having those dialogue in those meetings. And we did provide technical assistance to youth providers. And that got us to a place where most people in the room were on the same page. And the people that weren't on the same page kind of stopped being in that room. They didn't come to the meetings, or they started opting out of certain things. Slide. Let's see. All right, we just about 3 slides left, so I'm out of time. As we had consensus, for us, we just identified goals. And again, I say for us because it was for those 5 counties that were in, based on the youth providers that were available and where we wanted to go as a youth committee and what was happening in our counties and our municipalities. That's gonna be different from every LWIA. So I'm not saying that anyone here should take on these goals. I'm just saying after we built consensus, we were able to identify shared goals. So our shared goals was, we wanted to focus primarily on out-of-school youth ages 18 to 24 and have meaningful work experiences that connected to our target sectors. So for us, that was transformative. We wanted to work with alternative education to provide services to in-school youth. So we had a couple alternative education programs that were in at least 2 different counties in our LWIA. And we felt if we worked with them, we were going to hit our 25% youth that were in school. We wanted to continue to work with adult education providers for basic skills education, and for Illinois high school, we just said it.
Illinois high school diploma.
Yeah, no, high school diploma. We felt like that was important, and we wanted to develop an in-house youth program at the Regional Planning Commission. So those were the goals, and those got approved by our elected officials and by our youth committee. Slide. And this was probably the most helpful piece of regulation for us. It's in the WIA final rules. This section clarifies that youth activities may be conducted by the local grant recipient. The final rule clarifies that the grant recipient fiscal agent has the option to provide some or all of the youth workforce investment activities directly themselves, rather than entering into a grant or contract to provide the activities. So there was a feeling in our LWIA for some reason that we had to only work with youth providers. But through all this work and talking with DCL, reviewing WIA, what we found was we could provide these services as a grant recipient. So that was kind of for us a game changer. Slide. So the outcome of all that work was we went through an RFP process, and we procured the youth providers that aligned with our youth committee and our workforce board. That meant we only had 4 youth providers instead of 9. The youth providers the youth that were with those other youth providers, we transitioned those youth to an in-house program. And we piloted an in-house healthcare and construction youth program. So our first year, we worked with a major hospital to do a pilot for healthcare, and then we worked with the East Central Illinois Construction Grades Council and a construction pre-apprentice was a youth program. The construction one has been successful. The healthcare one we designed and launched, and we're enrolling this summer, so that's still TBD. But it was, it's been good for us to show that we wanted to do something, and we've been able to get it off the ground, especially with the construction program. And then we're exploring apprenticeships for high school students with disabilities. That's something that's important to us, and we've seen as a best practice across the state or as a promising practice, so we're pursuing it. So our outcomes are, we went from non-youth providers that couldn't tell us about the regional plan and that we contracted outside for all services to 40 providers that were aligned with the regional plan and the youth committee and then in-house youth programs that aligned with our target sectors. And we ended up hiring additional career coaches that are just serving youth in those programs. So we think it's been some success. It was a process, and it got us to where we are today. So that's it. All right, that's 15 minutes. 16 minutes or so.
Awesome. So right now, we're at the identifying gaps stage of basically the SWOT analysis. And where we left off was we need input from youth. We have input from all these agencies and all these organizations that serve youth, mostly in school youth. So how do we get input from, especially out of school youth? Did you explore that in your process?
We didn't, and why is, so my PhD is in emerging adults choosing a major that's meaningful to them at public universities. So a lot of the career development theory behind that is from 15 to 24. Young people don't know what they don't know, and you're just in an exploratory phase. And so best practices for career counseling are to provide opportunities with meaningful experiences, career counseling, some mentoring, an internship or a work experience, education, that where someone could make a more informed choice about what they want to do, and then really educating young people that the decisions that you're making now don't impact the rest of your life. It's just make some good decisions. We want to help you make a good decision so you can take the best first step. But as you get into the world of work, there's also some changes down the road. Anyway, knowing all of those things, we weren't at the time that we went through this process interested in getting feedback from you on how we would design the program, meaning we wanted the program to align with target sectors. We wanted work experience to align with target sectors. We wanted coaching that aligned with vocational counseling best practices, and that's the direction we were going in. Having said that, we are now interested in getting feedback from you as they're in the program. What was it like to have a career coach? What is it like to be on a job site? How prepared are you to make a choice about career or job training? So we are interested in kind of finding some of that out. But some of earlier, besides my doctorate work on career exploration for emerging adults, the interactions that we've had with youth in our community were a lot of, we don't know what to do. And more discussions around having fun, like we wish there was a go-kart track. And knowing that that's the kind of feedback we were getting from youth was, we don't know what to do, and we wish we had a go-kart track. That wasn't going to help us design a workforce development program. So those are some of the reasons that we didn't go down that road. But I know that a lot of folks do go down that road, and maybe you all will have a different experience than we had. Hey.
Any other questions from committee members?
I'd like to ask a question. Who do you find these youth at in South School Youth?
Sure. So this is new for us, and so we have a couple different avenues that we're pursuing for recruiting out of school youth. One is in like a Champaign County, there's something called a community coalition, where it's 100 different organizations that serve folks with different barriers or different situations with different social programs, and they come together monthly to talk about the issues impacting the community. Specifically for us, it's gun violence. So you have a lot of organizations that are at the table And most of those organizations are doing some sort of social service that isn't workforce development. So maybe it's trauma-informed care, or maybe it's something with healthcare and health and wellness, or maybe it's like an after-school program where they're just trying to keep folks busy. But there's really not an organization that's there to say, hey, you can explore the world and make a decision that's gonna lead to you making good choices for your career. And so we can help you with employment and training. So being in that space and networking is one of the ways that we do it. So if they're serving different types of youth that have different needs, they think about us for workforce development. And that's one of the places we kind of do it, is through that group, and that has had some success for us. The other places is high schools, talking to principals and guidance counselors and superintendents around connecting with dropouts or with alternative ed schools. And that's been pretty helpful. Pregnancy centers, juvenile justice. So we go into the juvenile detention center, and then we have a relationship with probation. Talk to our elected officials. So right now, mainly we're reaching out through networks or institutions or organizations, I would say, in order to get recruits for the program.
Having
And
a terrible time finding
yeah,
out of school year.
okay.
They don't follow through. They, and we get very few referrals from other agencies.
Yes, I think for all of us is a really hard to serve population, and it takes a little bit of luck and then some really dedicated staff. When we were thinking about going in this direction, I had similar concerns. All of our youth providers were saying it would be really difficult population to serve. I ended up going up to Kankakee, and they had a youth program. And I talked to the youth career coach there, and I asked about her program. She said, we do it all in-house. We get about 30 or 50 kids a year. It's basically we promote in the fall and the spring and enroll for a summer program where you're gonna have a work experience and get your high school, state high school diploma, and have supportive services like incentives. And I said, where are you getting these 30 to 50 kids? And she said the same thing that I just said to you, which is school, pregnancy centers, probation. I thought if she can do it, maybe we can do it. And so that's where we're starting at. So far, we've been fine, but our numbers are pretty low, with this year being our first year of having an in-house program. We don't have to have large numbers.
And find tons of in school.
Yeah.
It's out of school year.
Yep, and again, not telling anyone what to do, so it was just for us. For us, it made the most sense because there wasn't an organization targeting out of school youth, but we know it is.
Thank you.
Is there anything in the process that stood out to you as, oh, if I'm gonna do this again, I definitely won't do this?
I think getting to alignment quicker, because we spun our wheels for probably 6 months or more of people just having good ideas. And that weren't rooted in any sort of economic reality, like, or a regional plan or WIA. There was a lot of good ideas. And listening to a lot of good ideas, often without any sort of pragmatic application. I think it made people disengage a bit because we just kept talking. But when we started saying, this is what we can do, what should we do? Okay, let's do it. It kind of focused up the team and we got to work. So I think just aligning more quickly, but also that's kind of our personality. So not suggesting that. But that was my take.
Awesome. Any other question? Well, thank you very much, Dr. Arnold, with that. Caleb, you want to take it away now?
Sorry, I did have one question. I think you kind of highlighted on it, but just wanting to know a little bit more about the members of the youth committee.
Sure. We've whittled it down a bit. So right now we have a pretty focused group. Chamber of Commerce, a superintendent, a special ed coordinator, an adult ed coordinator, an employer. Let's see, a city councilman, one of our rural counties. So just, I suppose, the people that are focused on the direction that we're going in. We had
Okay.
we had opened it up to community-based organizations, and there just wasn't a response from our LWIA from community-based organizations that understood what participation in government looked like or required. So we kind of lost some people along the way.
And so from the business, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said you did have a company and then also the chamber, and that was kind of your business representation, correct?
Yep, and then with our healthcare, we have a major hospital working with us, so Carl. So we're working with them on, we work with them for the design and launch of our youth program. So they're not on the youth committee, but they're working with us on the pilot. And they're aware that we're looking to scale whatever success we have with the other healthcare entities in our LWIA. So OSF and Christie and Yurko Memorial, Gibson City, Kirby. So they're really open to the idea of working with them on a pilot and then scaling it to other entities, which I thought was pretty cool. And then the East Central Illinois Building and Construction Trades Council. So that's a council with about 15 unions under them, plumbers, sprinklers, iron workers, etc. They work closely with us on our construction pathway, and they might not be on the youth committee, but they work with us on our in-house program.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, and Jamie, I heard you ask for any other questions, so there were no other questions. We can go ahead and move on to the report on activities and programs for youth.
I'm number 4, youth committee reorganization update, but I'll make it quick because there's not a whole lot of updates. Almost no work has happened in the last quarter due to staffing issues and a lot of other things I've had going on. So I've not dedicated the time to do intentional updates and work from the things that we talked about at our last quarterly meeting. So as of right now, the plan is still to try to get some input from youth, what has been working for them, what they would like to see. And we already have a youth program established, so it's going to be more of making sure that it's meeting the youth needs and getting their input on outreach. So I could say that we would likely follow up to come to actually do those activities we talked about the last meeting. And I forgot my notes. I knew I would forget something tonight. So Kayla, do you by chance have a note or anyone else handy? I know we were talking about a potential survey to youth last time. Does that sound right?
Yes, that was it. And but I think we were going to read, and I don't have the notes in front of me either from that meeting, but I think we were going to reach out to other organizations about the survey. Dr. Arnold, now that while we're talking about this, and you had mentioned that you guys are reaching out to youth who are in the program, is there any particular way that you're doing that, or is that just those direct contacts because you have them? I mean, are you using any other tools, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Right now, we're not, and it's because it's a pilot with maybe like 10 kids. So it's pretty manageable, just the one-on-one career coach meeting them at the work sites or calling them. And we're just doing a survey at the end of their program before they go into their work experience. So I unfortunately don't really have a whole lot to contribute to you all on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was kind of part of the unanswered questions was how exactly, what format we would use, and so forth. So
I still think it would be a good idea for us to have a smaller task force to work on the survey and the outreach. Idea generation, so we can get some volunteers. Did we? I'm sorry, I'm really not prepared to remember what we discussed last time. Did we have volunteers, or was that something we were waiting on, was getting volunteers for that smaller task force?
It looks like there was gonna be a Google poll go out, that's just in the minutes. Gaps and opportunities were discussed previously, and now the group needs to figure out how to tackle the hurdles and take advantage of any opportunities presented. In mid-quarter meeting, at a doodle poll to kind of work on some strategies. I'm paraphrasing.
That sounds familiar, so, we probably need to update that doodle poll then, and that is what we'll do. I will get an updated doodle poll out so that we can, see who is most interested in putting in, it will take some time, some effort to work on this and to schedule a time that we can get together that's mutually, we're mutually available, so that we can start work on that.
Justin, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
You talked about working with the EFB.
Yep.
What capacity did you work with them? I'm thinking about some of the programs that our EFBs have in the area. What does that look like? We have a new director, our EFB director is leaving and going to a school district. So we'll have a new director.
Mhm. A lot of us, a lot of our time spent together was talking through, what do you do, or what can you offer, and what do we do, what can we offer? So with them having, classes in the high schools and kind of focus areas or concentrations for students, that can also be used to do early college with the community college. And then doing annual events around, an industry day or, job readiness type things like resume writing day. We just saw that they were in the schools a lot, so us being there didn't seem to make a lot of sense if they were already doing it. And there wasn't, especially when we were thinking about, we wanted to help folks that had the most barriers. And they were not really working with folks who had a lot of barriers. They were working with the people who got into these classes or got approved for early college. Or were in a position to say, yeah, I want to take the marketing track my junior and senior year. So it was just knowing that we both wanted to make a difference in our community, but we were going to do it in different ways. And so those conversations led to, we're probably not going to work on something together, but we meet and talk about what each other's doing. So for example, we do a manufacturing day in October for manufacturing month, where they bus students to a couple different manufacturers and then at the college, and we support that. And then we have a table at the end of the day event where we say, hey, if you do have barriers, come over and talk to us about your next steps, we can help. But it was really, when you asked how I worked with EFE, it was mostly just understanding what we did, because before those conversations happened, there was just a lot of ambiguity around how EFE could work with us and how we could work with EFE. But at the end of the day, for us, we just decided we were serving two different populations, two different types of programs. But I have heard of different LWIAs taking a completely different approach, maybe not having a strong EFE that was doing a lot or wanted to be more involved in industry days or what have you. But for us, that's just where our conversations ended up.
I'm also gonna put someone else on the spot, Mr. Block. How, for the students that drop out, how do we get to them? I mean, like Elaine said, the out of school youth, someone who dropped out 2 years ago,
And
you know they dropped out,
part of
they
the,
may not know
part of the
them.
struggle is the tracking them down peaks, you know, like even the contact we have, a lot of times the students who drop out are the ones who are the most mobile, the most transitory. So if a student dropped out 2 years ago, there's a decent probability that even if they are in our community, there's a very low chance they're at their same residence or same phone numbers and those types of things too. So I feel like the best chance is going to be if we can get that, if there can be a connection where we get these lists, like as a student drops out, that, you know, a process in that kind of checklist is referral to some organization for youth employment.
So as a superintendent, how do you see that working at the school district to get them
I think that
to outreach?
I
to
think
some
there's
of
a
the
chance that you could get every school district on board with this. As when you have your kid drop out, one of the next steps is, like, one of the steps almost immediately is, hey, we're gonna refer you to, this organization just so you have this as a potential option. I feel like that's probably gonna be our best way to have that kind of contact information. But even then, a lot of these students, the ones who end up in the situation where they're dropping out, it's frequent that there's no phone number to get a hold of that. There's no, like, that contact is difficult to do. It's gonna take it, like, that would take any organization, like, man, you can't send them an email, you can't put a big email.
No text, no answering the
Yeah.
text messages, right?
So, I think there's some potential there. I do think that it needs to be almost immediate, though. I think if you're waiting they dropped out 2 years ago, they're gonna be very hard to track.
I'm gonna chime in here. I don't know how involved you guys could become with the probation department. And then are you guys super involved?
I can't speak for the youth program, I can speak for adult.
I'm gonna say, I feel like we have a lot of around, maybe even just younger adults, but I think that having a condition of report, to have a referral, and we have an ISOC program at Effingham County, so we refer out to our counselors, but having a referral out to CEFF would be a really good thing too. It could be wonderful. And I really think that could be done.
What are the steps to get that, the ball rolling or something?
I'm gonna go back, I already have a note to Dr. Cheryl about it tomorrow anyway, so. I'm not 100% sure as far as a condition of report with the government involved, but I think that would be.
At one time, we had a special grant, the probation office, for them to recruit people to us, but the problem was some were on drugs and they wouldn't refer them to us unless they were clean. So a lot of them we never got them because,
Right,
but that would be wonderful.
yeah, I can look into it and see if there's anything like that still.
That'd be great.
And then I'm the data manager actually, so I have the access to look into who's clean and not clean and how we can refer.
So the best way to get the information to school districts through the ROE meetings,
I think that we were that
Yeah.
already.
and then we would cross over, because your area, part of what is an ROE 11 would be in your area and in LWA 23. But then you probably have 4 ROEs. Is
Like that Douglas County,
that right?
just under Douglas County.
And then 4 year away.
Yeah,
We have 11, we have 3.
I think there's 4 in LWA 24 or 5. There's 4 EFEs and 4 ROEs. They, of course, none of the maps line up, right? That's the problem. None of the maps line up, so it makes it difficult.
that's, 2 things real quick, that's okay. The out of school youth, also remember that out of school youth can mean graduated, but just not doing anything. So, sometimes that's a different demographic than someone who just dropped out. Because we're aware that there's a reason people dropped out, and the reason might be lead to the idea that they're not a great fit right now for workforce development, but they're a good fit for other services. So we keep that in mind. And then, but with the probation, so we worked with our probation department to develop what we call the career readiness program. Where we had, there was like 8 things on a checklist that people had to do, come to the one-stop center and connect with someone in the AJC. Go to 2 different trainings that were relevant, so like a financial literacy class and a career exploration class. If they didn't have their high school diploma, get their high school diploma, through out that. Anyway, get a job, keep a job, talk to us while they're on the job. So these were all basic career services. They weren't enrolled in job training. But all those, if they did all those things, then they could graduate from the career readiness program and be ready for a career. And all those activities, the probation department, allowed to take the place of community service hours. So we worked that out with that department. And then the people who were successful in that program, we would engage them on adult and dislocated worker training or youth out of school training. So it's kind of a pipeline into our training programs from career services. So we did do that with our probation. I don't know if the name Shannon Siders means anything to you. She's the director of probation in Champaign, but her staff worked with us on that. Anyway, so yes, it's possible. We did it in the past couple of years. But then we have the director bought in, we have the supervisors bought in, and now we need the 20 probation officers to do it. That's kind of our next opportunity, is informing probation officers about why this makes sense and is of good value, and to make that referral. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, now moving on to item 5. Sorry, I skipped you, Jamie. Take it away, Kelly or Elaine.
Today, Kelly's not here. She's going to pass out. Here, pass that, please. Yeah, we got that. Okay, you got it. I'm not very good at this tonight. There's 2 sheets there and I was struggling. The first thing we're gonna look at is this is the new recruitment plan, and you got one back, I think, last time, but we've got a new, I think Kelly mailed it. We've got a new recruitment plan. We updated the one we had. Since we were having so much trouble getting out of school youth on, we had to figure out how to find them, where to go get them. So we came up with a plan. Our staff has been out recruiting out of school youth. Employers can't find out of school youth either, they're having their own stuff. But we have been having some luck. Since April 1st, as of today, we have put on 25 youth, out of school youth. 19 of them are still working. The 6 that aren't working, most of them work 1 day, half a day, and just walked off. They weren't interested. We've had several that didn't go to work the first day, but we're still working on it. We have 5 or 6, I think, that's gonna go on either this week or the first of next week. We're trying everything we can to figure out where to get them. Employers are starting to refer people that they want to, we've got an employer in Louisville that has referred 2 kids. And it's working out really good for them. It's kids that want to work in that business. So we just keep pushing. And if you have any questions, Paul Kelly should be glad to talk to you about this. Also, Kelly and Jamie are meeting with DCO once a month to discuss this. We way overspent on in-school youth, but we haven't met our out-of-school percentages. So when we were doing that in school, they told us to put as many on as we can because the state money was, there was so much youth money, and we did that. And now we're paying for it because we've got all these in-school kids in. But they kept telling us, put on all you can, but all you can. So we did. And so most of those kids, though, will be finished with training in the next 2 semesters. So we're back now on strictly on out-of-school youth. So if you have any questions about us, the youth Kelly will be glad to answer them. Our performance measures, that would be the sheet. This is performance requirements. We're exceeding all of our youth measures, which is wonderful. Youth measures are a lot harder to do because, like I said, they leave on you. And then also with the new formula money, we're planning on increasing our mileage from 25 cents to 50 cents. So, I mean, 25 cents is pretty sad, but that's all we could afford to give them. That was paid out of the special grant. So hopefully with this new formula money, we'll be able to increase it to 50 cents and we'll start that July 1st. And that's all I have.
Can you look at those? For example, you can earn rate. Goal was 44,500. 8,300, it's almost double. What somebody should be making a quarter. They're doubling it, so when you come out of the program, they are making around 25 million. It's around $33,000. So not having a job to make $33,000 a year, that's kind of what that says right there. And the employment rate, you look at the fourth quarter, the goal is 72%, and 91% of the program. And are employed, the exit are employed after. So,
Within a year.
Excuse me?
Within a year.
Yeah.
From here.
Right, ones that are employed when they're.
Mhm.
So those are just some highlights of this book.
Just to confirm, you covered the performance measures and the current status.
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right, any other, like-
The
I'm sorry?
performance measures for youth are all exceeded. There's 5 of them. And they're all exceeded.
Thank you. I just wanted to confirm that we'd covered that and there was no additional information there. It's a little hard sometimes virtually to know exactly what's going on in the room. So want to make sure I didn't miss it. Any other business? Okay. Any public comments?
Yes.
Hi, Mandy, go ahead.
Hi, so I'm Mandy Bernard. I'm from Sparrow Family Services. I waited until this point because I'm not familiar with your guys' structure and when you can who can speak, when can they speak. I have been very involved with the LWIA 25, but we have out of school youth. So we are helping out of school youth. We have tried to refer out of school youth in your area to the youth programs, and we have had some struggles with we usually just get a call back that says they don't have any funds right now or they can't help us right now. And so I would love to work with you all in the future to help connect the folks that we're working with in your region to your services. I love that and will help however I can. And we also have a youth build program that runs that does Marion County, which I know I've been told it's just an outlier, that there's not a lot that you guys do in Marion County, but we do cover, Youth Build covers that, but we have other services that cover the rest of your counties. So would love to connect our youth to you guys. That's all.
That'd be great.
Share information.
Share information in the chat. We'll get to
I
Kelly.
mean, you have her information, Kelly has her information, Kelly referred her to me to be part of this meeting, so we do have it.
What counties do you work in?
We work in, well, Sparrow Family Services covers 36 counties from Sangamon. We're from Springfield to Cairo. But I was looking at your map, and I know you guys are you're pretty spread out too. We have the biggest, like I said, out of school presence in the bottom of your map with Marion County, because that is directly served by our Youth Build program, which is 100%, working for those same opportunity youth that you all are trying to engage. And then we have wraparound services and parenting services in Fayette, Effingham, Jasper, Clay, Richland, Lawrence, Crawford, and I believe possibly Cumberland and Clark. I'd have to double check that. But we also have locations in Olney. We have locations in Effingham. And we are serving a lot of families that have DCFS involvement, but also families who just have older youth who are maybe at risk of being involved with juvenile justice, or just in need of some services that it lends itself to us having a lot of out of school youth, opportunity youth in those programs. Sometimes even the moms and dads that we serve in parenting are also under 24, and they're still considered those opportunity youth. So yep.
Just put your information and somebody will get in contact with you.
Yes.
You're in a lot of our counties.
Where is your office at in Effingham?
Okay, so we just leased Effingham, so not mad if you don't know about that. We are going to be in that big Lakeland building with everybody else.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Big lake, I built one with everybody else.
Yeah, you know it. Everybody knew what I meant though when I said that.
I got it.
We've been looking at that space for a while, and we finally were like, yeah, it's time. We need to get the Effingham office going, because we already have staff that live in Effingham, and we're serving people in Effingham, but they're driving to Olney right now. So
Well, it'd be Effingham Technology Center.
Excellent. Thank you, Mandy, so much. It sounds like there are some opportunities there. And so thanks for joining us today. All right, next is the closing remarks. Do I get to give those, Jamie, or do you give those?
You get to have the closing remarks.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dr. Arnold, for making the time to be with us today. Really appreciate it. We hope that we can continue to ask you questions if they come up through this journey. And it sounds like action items will be looking to find a time or a meeting between the meeting for us to talk about the survey, the youth survey that we're looking to create. And again, Mandy, thank you for joining us and making that connection. Hopefully we can maybe streamline the referrals and maybe get some youth into the workforce and into the program. So at this time, I will accept a motion to adjourn if there's no other comments.
I move to adjourn, Ted.
Okay, and then a second.
Second, this is Chris.
Thank you. All in say aye, motion carries. If no, yeah. All right, thank you. Motion carries and adjourn.
Who are sticking around for the one-stop consortium committee, please stay on the line. We will get it started in just a moment here. Thank you all. Senior, welcome to Chile.
So, did you say you were having a board meeting tonight?
Yes, board meeting, dinner, 9:30. We have 4:36. We're gonna have our consortium, our one-stop consortium partners meeting now.
Okay.
We're both gonna come back for dinner.
Well, we have a DCO rep who's moving away. And so we have our committee going away from now from 5 to 6. So I thought about going to the. Is that okay? Okay. Well, thank you so much for the invite.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah. Good to see you. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
School you.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
Most of our,
You want me to
most of
go
my
and-
experiences have been leading the stage. And now that you're
And I
saying,
got.
I'll try and, the other thing, number two. Yeah. Yeah, it's a struggle for me, like.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why in reality, they're thinking about changing it to 50/50 instead of 75.
Yeah. Do you have trouble with work experience? Do you have work experience?
In the past, we had trouble with work experience, placing it all like I said, in policy. Yeah. Sweat the floor. Been a couple hours. It's not helping here for the career or training, so we're trying to change them and like, construction trades is good, because that's real work experience. Healthcare, we'll put together work experience is what their with the house program that they have. So we're hoping to have. Not really sure how that's gonna work with manufacturing. We're thinking about it at a Thursday work coordinating around. We have construction, we have healthcare.
So I think you remember everything. Last week I missed. Something. Stop.
Right.
And we're supposed to go. Building.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We've had a little bit of. We've got the people that will partner that are doing some stuff, and that's what.
Yeah.
We don't have them food and boards at school anymore, like we used to.
Right.
But that was about $150.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, and that employer in Woodville is real good about. Looking these kids up. And he's got businesses and.
Yeah.
They're running and stuff, and
Yeah.
that one, we can't really go home and eat, and then.
And remember the James and Larry.
You need to go.
I forgot to carry that.
Yeah.
As soon as you said it,
They're really. You know, although everyone's totally got a different personality and
Yeah.
totally different.
Yeah. It's, it could be rewarding, but it's also really.
Can I have your phone number? So what time do you want to go? How's it going, Gerald?
Sure.
Good. Oh, okay.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for Father's Day, I'm sure, right?
Couple quick housekeeping things. I think those of you who are joining us online were just online with us in the last meeting, so bear with me just a second. This meeting is still being recorded, so it's a matter of public record. Be mindful of anything across your microphone or your camera. Please unmute yourself. Those of you joining virtually to contribute to the conversation. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat function, but if you have something important to say, please feel free to just go into the conversation as if you're here. So with that, it is still Monday, June 17th. It is now about 4:03 p.m. This is the LWIA 23 quarterly one-stop operator consortium meeting. So Kevin, for the committee chair, whenever you are ready, please feel free to call the meeting to order.
Sure, thank you everybody for coming, just need to get a roll call started.
Casey Burkholder.
Here.
Kevin Bushy.
Here.
Carolyn Jorgensen.
Here.
Nancy Burton. Here. Gerald Billy.
Here.
Kelly Denton, Elaine. Here. Rob Jackman. And Chris Roll. Here. We have a form.
Thank you. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes, 18. Any motion to approve those? I so move, Gerald. Second,
Second, Chris.
all those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Conflict of interest, is anybody have any conflict of interest on this? Okay, agency training, Carol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Later.
Okay, I'm not a public speaker, so it'll be very informal. So with URBA, we do have programs that help people with that are low-income families, gain self-sufficiency. And I did bring packets today with some of our different programs. So of course, we have, mostly the same programs that CFS has. So we have the LIHEAP program and, we do have a weatherization. Okay, so we have a weatherization crew. They did not give me any literature, so I have nothing in regards to that, but we do serve 9 counties. We're in Clark, well, we serve 9 counties, but Douglas County is not in this, LWIA. So, that one is in Champaign. So we have 10 offices. We have 2 offices that serves, Full County because that is our biggest county. And then we go all the way over to, Edgar County and down to Lawrence County. So we have those 9 funds. We have 4 locations for senior centers. 2 of them is in our Crawford County, so there's a satellite office in Robinson, and then we have a building there in Oblong, and then we have one in Jasper and Richmond. We also operate 2 food pantries. We have one in Cumberland County, one in Jasper County, and those do a distribution typically the 3rd Thursday of every month. Then we also have Head Start. So they did give me some flyers about Head Start, if anybody is interested in that. And I said lightning. So for my program, I deal with CSVG, which is a community services block grant. And so we have different programs that we have through that. And we do case management, which we can help right now this year. We are helping more with car repairs for people. And then we found a need in the area was for dental. So if people aren't able to afford dental work, we can help with that. With case management. 2. 2 so far, and they've been in Coles County. So, it's hit or miss. Right, yeah. So far we have done 2 applications for that. Our big thing with our case management, unfortunately, is pest eradication. So a couple of our counties are really bad with bed bugs, and so we've been contacting them either by senior services, by the schools, or as caregivers, or whatever. I can't give their name, but they try to find out our programs, and then they'll let the customer know to reach out to us. So we do have a couple of counties that's really heavily saturated with bed bugs. And unfortunately, it doesn't just come from me traveling or whatever, you can get it from the neighbors. Last fall, they had a 4-H fair at one of our counties, and the sheriff's department alerted people that were getting stuffed animals from that fair that they had reports of them being infested with bed bugs. So over the past couple of years, that has been a big issue that we've been dealing with. So we use our case for that. It's bad, and it's so bad this year that in one of our counties, I pulled into Walmart and there was an actual sign that says, "Do you have bed bugs?" It wasn't just your typical pest control sign. It was a specific, "Do you have bed bugs? We can help you." So of course, seniors are not able to get their services if they have an issue in their household, and children can't go to school.
Yeah.
So, so it's a big need in our areas. We do food vouchers, so I mentioned that we do have the food pantries in 2 of our counties, but the other counties, especially during COVID, we discovered, we're pretty much in a food desert. And so it became a need that everybody was needing food assistance. And so we implemented the food voucher program. So all of our counties but Cumberland and Jasper do offer the food voucher program. We obviously have rent and mortgage assistance and utilities that will help once LIHEAP runs out of money, which our agency has run out of money for the year. It'll start back up in October. And then we do help with people that need to get back and forth to doctor appointments. We discovered that was a real need a few years back. This was prior to COVID. People going from our counties to say St. Louis, or we have had people go to Chicago. We see a lot of people needing to go for cancer treatments, or they have young children that need to travel. And so we do a rural health transportation program, and we will pay 56 cents per mile for the trip back and forth. So they'll get gas cards for that. And then we used to do a backpack program, and that was a really big thing. That was like, we had our most customers from that. However, there are so many agencies out there that do a backpack program that I felt it was the time to change. So we started an extracurricular relief program. And so when kids want to go to different camps, soccer, basketball, different things like that, then we'll assist with that, because a lot of our families aren't able to afford the fees that are associated with the after-school programs. I do have a skills training program, and that right now we are doing CDL and CNA programs. However, when Lakeland lets me know, or if I can get in contact with them to find out if there's any 8 to 12 week programs, and they can get a certificate and earn a living wage within my year's time, then I will accept those programs. We did a basic welding one time, and one time only so far, because I got burned because they were supposed to sign up for the basic welding, which was the short one,
Yes.
and they signed up for the 2-year program.
It's under an AAS instead of
Yes.
the 12 credit hour.
Yeah.
So you didn't get burnt, did you?
No. But yes, so right now we mainly do CDLs and CNA program, and we'll pay their textbook and tuition to get their certificate, and we'll pay the exam fees and stuff like that.
Can I ask you a question? We picked cosmetology.
So I will let that go through the scholarship program, but through STEP now.
Okay, we don't either. We have tons of people requesting that they don't understand they can't make.
It's on the approved state list, right?
Well, I thought that it was supposed to be on the approved list for you guys to be able to pay, but they pay for massage therapy. So why not cosmetology?
And you're probably gonna make more money as a cosmetologist than a massage therapist.
But I don't know how many people we've had have a cosmetology certificate and come back in and want to go to school
For
or something they can go. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason right now that I'm not doing the cosmetology is the way their year runs, because they'll go from the fall to the spring, or at least they used to. I haven't.
They start fall or spring, and then they go a full year, yes, they go
Yes.
one full calendar year, 3 semesters.
Mhm. And so, but me, I mean, I have to pay a cosmetologist to get my hair done. I know how much they.
And I know they're doing more than one person, they gotta work on me.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
And my daughter calls a cosmetologist, and I get it. It does take you a while to start earning those big dollars, but there is potential. And I think it's on an individual basis. You might not have that. Yeah,
We have numerous.
yeah. My granddaughter wants to be a cosmetologist, and I keep telling her no, only because I know in her, she doesn't have that confidence, even though to stick with it. So I mean, it's something you have to put your work into, but it's like anything, you're not gonna start at, $20 an hour.
No.
You have to,
You have to work.
Yeah, you have to
Lots of
work out.
hours to start.
Right,
I mean, you can't just work 9 to 5.
yeah,
Have to prove yourself and build your life.
Personality too.
it is, it
Big
is.
time.
And actually had a conversation that I did an interview last week, and unfortunately I had 3 cosmetologists show up for the interview. I was like, that's strange.
They don't get benefit, I think that's one of
Yes.
their big things, is
Mhm.
especially they think it's gonna be a great career, and
Right.
until they have a family, and then it's like, oh,
Mhm.
you don't have health insurance at the salon? No.
Yeah. So I do get that, however, I do know how much they. And we also do have a scholarship program. And I'm actually in the process of approving scholarship applications for the year. So we, for the past couple of years, have trickled down in our numbers, so my staff has been reaching out to they typically at the beginning of the year, they'll reach out to the high schools and colleges and stuff and pass along the information. Last week I was here, or, you know, it was up at my CSVD conference. I was on Cindy, so what, you know, something to do with that. But I was talking to Cindy and we were talking about having the LWIA staff get that information out as well, so then everybody, you know, sent contact with their LWIA.
And we sent them out to the radio store we have on and told them that you could get both.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because I've had that. And then we do have a housing counselor. And she had sent out an email Friday. Right now, they are out of funding for some of these programs, but she did send me along for flyers for USDA for home repair loans, direct rural housing loans. And they also they'll work with you on your budgeting, which is a great need. I know they don't have very good attendance at those because of the timing and that kind of thing. So now they're starting that again because this was during COVID and they couldn't really do that much. So now they're getting ready to start doing some more workshops with budgeting. And the same Daters is really good at working on that and very knowledgeable. I think that's all of it. And like I said, I do have handouts if anybody's interested in.
Just because you were talking about Cosmo, I'll throw it out there, but the Perkins program at Lakeland does help, the Cosmo students get things after tuition. So they don't cover tuition, but they have like big electrical kits that they have to have, certain uniforms and shoes, they help them with all that. So be sure to tell them, look for Perkins, call Perkins. Good source for them.
and there's Perkins at all community colleges. So they're going to use Perkins, but they may probably different things, not to written. What's your Perkins program to
Do, with wraparound services like gas cards, assistance with books and the kids, things like that, so.
I'm amazed at how much the cosmetology classes are nowadays. I'm a beauty school dropout, so I was like, it's changed a lot since I was.
Practical nursing is a 1-year program. Is that something?
It depends on the time it falls, because I need to have everything January to December. And so a lot of the programs are like land run.
It's for August and the fall.
And then but I mean, I'm open to doing, they would have to do a new application in January for the spring semester. But I like to be next.
And they go spring and summer. They go fall, spring and summer. So they're on another academic year.
Yeah, so then they would have to apply 1 year for the first semester and then the second year for the remaining. I just typically like to keep it neat and tidy and keep it all from January to December, but I am open to that, especially if it's something that they can earn a living with. Or above.
Surge Tech is coming up, is that I think that's a fall.
It's a fall, and I'm trying to think, there is like a program that's already running that the Surge Tech students are gonna move into. So there's a certificate program that is, I don't remember what it's called, and then it goes into the Surge. But the Surge Tech program will be a 1-year certificate. They do like sterilization. That's what the first part of the program is called. So they sterilize instruments, they get operating rooms ready.
I'm not gonna go to speak to all of the things that they do. I also think they are sometimes the people that will come in before your surgery and be
Yes.
like, okay, so your vitals all good. The doctor's gonna come in, we're gonna roll you in, like they're the person that kind of stays with you and then they're there with you when you wake up and. The doctor's gonna come in a few minutes and talk to you about blah, blah, blah.
So there's an actual certificate for that?
It
Because
is
my-
a new one that's just getting approved through ICCD. So it's went through our internal curriculum approval process and has now been forwarded onto ICCD. We usually know within, I would say, 3 months. I wouldn't think that there would be any barriers to getting that, but it starts off as a sterilization tech and then goes into surgery.
And have you found that hospitals or surgery centers would want to work with people that come out of that? And I ask that because like one of my best friends, she worked for Quad Graphics and she's a surgery tech. And she had no school. Been in Quad Graphics or gone with me for since we've been in high school.
That's a good change.
Yeah, it is.
She's not making magazines anymore.
That is a drastic change. But then we also tried to do the pharmacy tech course 1 year, and we found that people didn't necessarily want them coming from the college, they wanted to train them themselves.
So I can speak more about Sarah Bush's relationship with the college. Sarah Bush is the one that approached the college and said, we are looking for surge techs. We have, I'm gonna say, I don't know exactly how to say this, I'm just gonna say it. The nurses have other work to do. We need people that can go through a short-term training program and come and help with surgeries. That does not mean that they're the ones assisting the doctor during the surgery, but they're doing some of the prep work before and some of the post work after. Because they have other work they want the nurses to do, because there's a nurse shortage along with childcare and all the other things that there's shortages for. And I know you weren't here, but it did put a little bit of perspective when Justin Arnold said that their biggest problem in Champaign is gun violence. And I was like, okay, I hate it that we have a childcare shortage and a healthcare worker shortage, but we're not thinking about that.
They have that on the screen. Somebody is shot up there in Champaign all the time.
So from my side, I'm gonna look at some different programs because I jotted down a couple. Auto mechanic is one of them. There's 2 semesters, but I don't know if it starts in January or it starts in August. I have to talk with program director, but to see if there are any programs that we could help.
Yes.
What about that building construction?
It's a 2-year program.
No, isn't there a certificate program that has very little? I mean, they don't even have 12 credit hours a semester. It's 2 semesters, but
There's a search program. Or it might be, non-degrees.
I'm sure it's really fall and spring now.
And I'm okay with that, but the customer has to be okay as far as repeating application.
And taking the chance of getting.
But it doesn't say fall semester, it is, well, first semester and fall.
Yeah, send me any that you want me to look at.
Work on.
Yeah, so it's my grade. That'd be great. Because right now, we've only done one or 2 CDOs this year.
Our CDLs are coming through a commission model right now, where their businesses are already hiring them, and I'll use 3 Sisters as an example, James has been dealing with them. They'll hire them, and then they're like, okay, we've got them hired now we're gonna send them training, we're gonna pay for everything. So the model looks different for CDL, because a lot of them they're hired by the company already, now they're coming in, the companies to for them.
Which is great.
It is wonderful, and I feel like they're meeting their needs.
We are getting gobs of CDLs in Central. Yes, like 3, 4 weeks.
And where do they go?
They go right there at the Chris Center in Centralia. It's run by 160 Driving Academy.
Because there's one of those up in Champaign, that area.
And we have real good luck with them. They're real good about, the person in Centralia is excellent. She tutors them and everything, you know, trying to get them through the program. Excellent.
I will say we've had very good luck with Lakeland and, college of
Parkland.
Yes,
Parkland is theirs is 162, I think, this isn't Justin, same building Justin's at.
yeah, because there's two Justins. And one Justin called me
Oh,
up there.
Ours is a Justin too.
And I thought I was speaking to Justin at Lakeland. And, but anyways, Lakeland in particular works very well with with the students, because if they're having trouble with backpedaling or they're just not quite there yet, they will continue to work with them. And I think that's very important, instead of, get them in, you get them out, and they pass or they fail, it's, who cares?
No.
This
make
way
sure
they,
pass.
we've had very good luck with them. I've been very pleased with that. I mean, we've even had people that, okay, I need a little break from this for a little bit, and I want to come back and, have you work with me a little bit more. And so I have had a couple of people that have, taken a month or so off, and then Justin will still work with them. And I think that's very important.
The backing, some of them can't get the back.
Yeah, the backing is a big one.
It's a big thing.
What if it was a non-credit program? That it is an industry credential?
I would probably have to ask.
So we're gonna start a powered industrial truck, AKA forklift program. We're gonna start it as a non-credit program that gets an industry credential. We're likely gonna move it into a credit program, but we can, in the academic world, we can start it much faster as non-credit. True. Than to move it through all the things that we need to do to make it credit. So we're gonna start it in July as soon as we get the forklift.
And how long is
It's only be a couple of weeks of training. Right now, our first training is gonna be with GPI, with Shelbyville, and they're sending over like 50 individuals, non-native English speakers, most of them are Haitian Creole or from the Mediterranean, but I'm not going to say the language, their first language. So we're gonna have someone who speaks speaks their home country language, and then someone that is in English, teaches in English to help tutor the students. Is that something that you would entertain
So-
if someone?
So my grant doesn't specifically say that it has to be accredited hours. They have to just be able to get a certificate or degree or license and gain.
Credential? Is that okay?
Are they charged tuition for us, or is it called something?
There was a fee like we would call for.
It's the regular fee.
So it's kind of like we're training about
The ones that are GPI, yes, those are gonna be independent workers, and GPI is taking care of all of that. Because we're gonna go there, right? But then we're also gonna be able to offer the training in that tune, and let's fingers crossed when Economic Technology Center is open, we could do some training there also.
And then, it's been a while that you mentioned different programs that Lakeland have that are free for people to go to. Like at one time you guys were offering the welding through your.
We're doing the iPad, that's our adult ed program, so that is our iPad program, we're gonna do BNA this fall. So we're gonna offer them for free for individuals who fall. BNA.
So it's like
Assisting
So it's
CNA, yeah.
Okay.
I still call it.
Yeah.
We call it BNA until they get the license, because they're not actually a CNA until they pass the exam. So you can be a basic nurse assistant at a long-term care facility, but you get more money if you are a certified nurse. For more information, yes.
Anything else for Carolyn?
Not even
Okay, we're gonna go on to one-stop recertification. Sure.
Yeah, last Monday, we did one stop, went and inspected and inspect Jamie and Joy and Devin and Mike, Conrad, we all went over. Had a good time, really. The two ladies I interviewed were just awesome. But, anyway, so, it was good. We highly recommend it to recertify. Couple of glitches, maybe posting the hours on the door and stuff that was just suggested to be made. But we found that some of the positives, we found just it appeared that there wasn't a huge staff turnover. You know, because they had a lot of people there with some seniority that knows their business, okay? And not only that, in talking with the lady, and who was I talking to?
Charlie.
She talked about how they could, you know, they had a gal on medical leave for a week and these would fill right in and take over and it was just like no glitch and move forward. So that was all positive. So highly recommended.
And that is an action required. The consortium committee has to approve it and
So it's-
send it to the.
Record anything to be certified.
Yes.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion.
okay. Need a second?
Second,
Chris, all those in favor by saying aye.
I,
All those friends, all those opposed, same sign. A motion carried. Business service update, Jamie.
I'm totally ready for that one time. So the business service team met on March 20th, April 17th, May 15th, and the next meeting is June 19th. Over the course of those 3 meetings, we finally got past the regional and local plan. So we were focused more on how the goals in the regional plan impact or are impacted by the business service team. So we explored looking at how to improve the apprenticeship ecosystem, looked at, or started talking about a subcommittee for business satisfaction. How do we measure that? How do we measure their engagement, and how do we set benchmarks for improvement? And then we are working on talent pipeline management collaboratives. There was the manufacturing collaborative held in April, and their strategy, I think they're up to strategy 4 in talent pipeline management, is scheduled to happen in July. We're currently getting input from healthcare providers who have participated in talent pipeline management collaboratives previously to help define when's a good time to meet, and that's been difficult information to get out of them. So that's on our radar next. Throughout those 3 meetings, there have been numerous partner events and updates, including just 8th grade career conference, business collaboration event with Easy, lots of regional plan stuff, apprenticeship grant activities and updates, virtual job fairs, in-person job fairs, business service webinars from the Business Navigator Alliance, more virtual job fairs, more apprenticeships, and more conversation around outreach and reaching businesses to let them know about our services. Any questions in particular about business service team update?
Yeah, that's the MOU. Great.
So the MOU budget was approved by the partners back in March, I believe. So we spent the remainder of the time gathering signatures from all of the partners on the MOU budget and the MOU itself. And then we were collecting the direct linkages checklists from all of the partners who were not physically located in the one-stop center. Those were collected, aggregated, and then submitted to DCO by the due date, which was May 31st, with the exception of DHS TANF. We did not have signatures from them yet. That's not uncommon, as their process of who signs that just takes a little bit longer. And I do believe I have a message in my inbox today from TANF, so I will be forwarding that on shortly. And I was not able to get signatures from the SCEP, the Senior Citizen Employment Program from our partners at Caritas or National Able. Caritas is not offering that program in the region anymore, it sounds like, and then National Able, there's not a representative serving this region currently. We're spending our time contacting anyone at any National Able office to help me out with that. So those are still in the works, but everything has been submitted to DCO with the exception of DHS and the discussed.
Okay. Thank you. One-stop operator report, Kelly, is that your, you do that?
You can read from the notes
You want to do
from.
that, great. She gave me some, but, wasn't there, so.
We met on Thursday, March 14th, here in this room at 3:00. And pretty short meeting. Kelly provided the one-stop operator updates. She talked about the signage on the doors, which was something that we had discussed after the one-stop recertification visit at the one-stop center. It was a lot of one-stops. Casey is working with CMS to get updated signage. That does take a little bit longer. Jamie asked if Kelly would be able to put signage up with CEFS's office hours, and Kelly was gonna check and see if that was possible. Future OSO Consortium monthly meetings will be on July 11th, August 6th, September 12th. We had more discussion on the recertification that happened on Monday, the 10th. Upcoming cross-training, CEFS live heap on the 19th at 9:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. Effingham Crisis Nursery on September 18th, 9:30 and 10 a.m. And Michelle is still working on the December cross-training. We also talked about the customer satisfaction survey, and we're going to discuss that more at our July meeting. Kelly shared the one-stop numbers for March, April, and May. They are as follows. We owe at 82 in March with IDES 108. In the month of April, we owe at 69, IDES 92. And in the month of May 2024, we owe 113, IDES 77. We had more discussion on CEFS and adult education and out-of-school youth. There were no public comments. Meeting adjourned at 3:24.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other, discuss? Partner reports. Who wants to start report departments?
Give a partner report for Title II. This was RFP year for Title II, so request for proposal year. Every 3 years, we have a bigger grant that we write each year. We did receive notification last week that our program was successfully completed application processes. It has been selected for award for fiscal year 2025. They did share what some of the performance outcomes are going to be for fiscal year 2025. I'm going to tell you what they're expecting for 2025 and what we know for sure that our FY23 numbers are. So we're still in FY24. For measurable skill gain for 2025, 41%. In FY23, our program was at 49%. Credential attainment for FY25 is 31.8%. For FY23, we were at 39.23. Employment second quarter after exit, 31.4 for fiscal year 25. In fiscal year 23, we were at 49.53. Employment fourth quarter after exit, 33.4 for FY25, and we were at 61.81% for FY23. The median earning number is going up significantly. We have exceeded that in the past. For FY25, it's going to be $6,150, which it was about half of that prior to this year. So they are looking at individuals making more when they go second, fourth quarter after exit. Also give you just a little bit of snapshot of how many students we have served so far. And keep in mind, there's only like one more week of class for our summer term. We served 443 individuals in adult education. 225 of them were GED students, 197 were ESL students. and 21 were in an ICAPS program, which would be that BNA program that we talked about. As far as demographics, 16 to 24, 151 of our students were in that age group, 25 to 44, 64 students, 45 to 59, 7, and 60 plus, we had 3 individuals that were attaining their GED that were 60 plus. In our ESL programs, the demographics look a whole lot different. From 18 to 24, 18 individuals. 25 to 44 is the bulk of our students in our ESL classes with 134. From 45 to 59, 34, and 60 plus, we had 11 individuals. So of the individuals that we serve, 44 were in ESL classes and 51 were in GED classes. The remainder were in our remote skills.
I do not have a problem. But
Just wing it.
the next time I will be prepared, so I do know that we did start our adult ed, program this summer. I think we just started the classes in the beginning of June, so, and I have no idea how many students are in that program, so. the Next time I will have that information.
I don't always have all this, but I was like, I feel like I should share some
Yeah,
percentages,
yeah.
numbers.
Does anybody else want to share a report?
This is Carolyn Jorgensen from Title IV. Hi, we are picking up about 190 new STEP students come July. They're coming from some of our more southern areas in our counties from Wolf's Head, and we're working with about 24 customers in job placement with Community Support Services, one of our community rehab providers. So we're getting a lot of employment for our adult cases as well. And we've continued to partner with some of the cosmetology schools in the area. And the one that we're working with the most now is out of Effingham. It's Royal Cosmetology School. I'm not sure exactly if that's the right term, but we call it Royal. And so we've been making a lot of inroads with them. Got a lot of college cases right now between my Mount Vernon and Only offices. We have about 100 college cases. So those are longitudinal cases. They take quite a few years, like y'all know, to get them to go through. But we've been doing really well. And we have one certified counselor in the Only office, and we have one rehab counselor trainee. So we're hoping to get a third counselor because we're going to have upwards of 550 customers come July. So excited about opportunities to expand our staff. So thank you.
Anybody else with the report? Okay, on to old business or new business. Public comments. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Gerald? The second? Nancy seconds. All those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Awesome, thank you all for joining. I will come back past 5:30 for dinner. For the board meeting, if you're joining us virtually, that will be on a different Zoom meeting, ID and password. So we will see you then. Thanks so much.